related to like what you were saying about the New Testament. Like the eyewitness accounts and stuff make the New Testament seem very true. What if somebody wrote it so it would seem true, and they used those tactics?
You're basically saying this could be an historical novel. That somebody just used all modern or all contemporaries of the day and wrote a fictional story to try and invent this. First of all, that genre was not known at that time. Okay. Secondly, we have evidence that shows that these people really did exist. And if people like the New Testament writers were saying false things about these powerful people like Pilate and the Herods, that would not bode well for them if those people found out about it. Okay? So it doesn't seem to make any sense that people would invent this. And then for what reason? Look, Jesus of Nazareth is the most influential human being in the history of the world. Are we going to say that that human being was a completely fictional character, and yet he impacted the world unlike any other human being in history? It would be like saying that 2,000 years from now, Luke Skywalker will be thought of as an historical figure, and his impact will have the most dramatic impact of any other human being over the past 2,000 years. Does anyone here think that that's plausible to believe, that 2,000 years from now, people will take a fictional character called Luke Skywalker and say he really existed and he's impacted the world more than anyone else? No. That's not going to happen.
The idea that the New Testament was intentionally crafted to appear true by mimicking eyewitness accounts is highly unlikely for several reasons. First, the New Testament isn't the work of one person, but of multiple authors from diverse backgrounds. Fishermen like Peter, a tax collector like Matthew, and a doctor like Luke. Despite these differences, their accounts align consistently, which would be difficult to fake across so many perspectives. Second, the writers included details that wouldn't make sense if they were fabricating a story. For instance, the Gospels mention women as the first witnesses to Jesus' resurrection, even though women's testimonies were often undervalued in that culture. If the goal was to create a convincing story, the authors would have likely chosen more culturally reliable witnesses, but instead they recorded what actually happened. Third, the New Testament authors faced significant risks, including persecution and death. It's hard to believe they would endure such suffering for something they knew was a lie, especially when there was no personal gain involved. Lastly, early Christians were dedicated to preserving and spreading these writings despite the dangers, indicating a deep belief in their authenticity. In summary, the diversity of authorship, the inclusion of inconvenient details, the willingness of the authors to suffer, and the early church's commitment to these texts all point to the authenticity of the New Testament, making it highly improbable that it was deliberately fabricated to seem true.